All right, everybody, welcome to this week's Inside Quest, where we take amazing entrepreneurs, people that are out there on the front lines, building businesses based on passion, something that they really believe in. They're gonna give us all their tips and secrets. We're gonna talk about it, go back and forth, and see if we can pry out the universal principles of success so you guys can apply to your own life. I know I'm certainly gonna be learning today. We have a phenomenal guest with us, somebody that I know personally, believe in as an entrepreneur, and I'm excited to sort of break ground here since I don't think the world's really seen that side of you, and it's a side that I find phenomenally inspiring, and I'm very, very excited to share with people today. Wow. Cassey Ho, Miss at Blogalates herself. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I think everybody watching is gonna know you. They're gonna know one side of your personality, and that's the high energy, the very bubbly, bright, inspiring Blogalates. But the side of you that I don't think they know is the very talented, hard-driven entrepreneur. Just to set the stage for everybody, since I know Cassey won't tell you herself, her social count sits at approximately 3 million. If you aggregate them all together, you have 2 million just on YouTube, which is absolutely astronomical. She got a full ride scholarship to college. She has a DVD series at Target. She has a whole system that's essentially you syndicated into 24-hour fitness where people are teaching hot Pilates that you have designed the whole course for, right?
Craziness, it's craziness.
You certify the instructors, and I have a surprise, which may be a surprise for you as well. You have a new book coming out.
I do. How do you have that?
I scammed this from Sam. So Sam, thank you very much, my man.
Wow.
When is this coming out?
This is coming out on April 7th, and I have been working on that thing for 2 years. It's like writing a term paper for 2 years, except you kind of like it. No, just kidding.
Only kind of?
I really like it. It was just some parts took a long time and a lot of pushing from my editor.
I can imagine. We'll get more into it in a minute.
Okay.
One thing, I just want to set the stage a little bit more for everybody. Okay. Going from entrepreneur to actual entrepreneur, and that chasm, I think there's really two killers. Killer one is that you're afraid of failure, right? Pretty simple.
Absolutely.
And then fear two is you're in a group, a social circle that is discouraging it for whatever reason. I think you have some pretty awesome insights on both of those. Walk us through how you go from selling the chocolates in your high school to where you are today.
As you know from Cooking Clean with Quest, I can't eat chocolate. So this is weird already, right? Like, why would I be selling chocolate as a kid? Well, what happened was my sister and I would always go trick-or-treating, you know, collect the candies and everything, and then we'd go home and have like, you know, 10 pounds of candy and I have no idea what to do with it. So being the creative person and, you know, I like to cook as a kid, I would just take all the candies, put milk and caramel, mix them together, and then turn them into these little balls. Then I'd wrap them in foil. Then I'd bring them to school and give them to my friends. And then they started liking them. And I was like, oh, well, if they like it, then they should buy it. So I sold 3 little balls for like 25 cents. Wow. And then word got around that, you know, Cassey was making these things. And I never actually tasted it. My sister would taste it, my friends would taste it. So, you know, I had
Now, were the tasters free?
The tasters were free.
So we had a crack model, right?
Yes, yes.
The first one's free, but after
wait till you hear the crack model in high school. This is nothing. And so I ended up bringing this huge bag to school, maybe 60 cookies. And I swear to you, kids were so addicted to them that they had to have one every single morning or they would start acting funny.
Really is a crack model.
Yes, and so I ended up having 5 fellow students who sold for me too across campus. And we'd have distribution in the morning in front of school. And the model was, you sell 10 cookies, you get 1.
So they're selling for products.
They sold for products.
So they got high off their own supply, which is rule number 1. Everybody, if we're gonna get entrepreneurial principles here, never get high on your own supply.
So that was basically the model, and it became so widespread across campus that I got shut down by the principal and all the school authorities, because obviously, you know, it was illegal, whatever. But the whole thing, eventually the story got me a full ride scholarship to Whittier College, where I studied biology.
The thing that I found so interesting was I don't consider myself a born entrepreneur, and I don't know whether I should consider you a born entrepreneur. But hearing stories like that, it certainly leads me down that path. Do you consider yourself a born entrepreneur?
There has always been a desire in me to create and share. So I think I am a born entrepreneur. I think you are too.
I know I'm not a born entrepreneur. And the reason that I say that, I'm not, I wish I was. I think that would be a sort of more compelling story to tell. But when I was a kid, and my parents, through no fault of their own, they taught me to be a good employee. And I had what I call the slave mentality. I kept my head down, I did as little work as possible, and I avoided punishment at all costs. That's how I was in high school. That's certainly how I was in the jobs when I got out of high school. And at one point I said with pride, this hurts me to say now, but I'm the king of remedial jobs. And that was like,
wow.
hey, I can walk into like any...
you actually said that?
100%.
Wow.
And I said it like it was something to be proud of. And that really was sort of one of those things that you don't think about until you start making choices later in life and you realize all the little things that you believed that were holding you back. And you hear people say things like, hey, if you chase your passion, the money will come. But that just seems so detached from reality.
Right.
And the words, even though they're true, because they are true, they become trite over time because no one ever tells you how to make that real. Hearing the story of you when your yoga bag made it into Shape magazine and you ran to Target, tell us that story because that reveals something that I think is so critical for entrepreneurs to understand.
Yeah, so I have a degree in biology, which doesn't really have anything to do with what I'm doing today, maybe a little bit when I talk about nutrition, but that was because my parents, well, my dad specifically wanted me to become a medical doctor because in the Asian culture, you're not successful unless you're a lawyer or a doctor or an engineer. So my predestined path was medicine. My sister was supposed to be a lawyer. And so I was always doodling in my notepads and everything. I just had to get this creativity out of me. So I started designing yoga bags in college. And so I drew my own, and then I bought some fabrics in downtown LA, made one. My students really liked it, so I said, okay, business opportunity, made some more, and then we started selling online. We did all these weird SEO things. We had no idea about SEO. I was like, somebody please just find this yoga bag. And so maybe at that point we had sold, I don't know, like a dozen or whatever, and every sale was so exciting. You know, when you get your first sale, it's just like, someone actually is gonna have this thing that I made, like it's so crazy. Within the first 5 months, I got a text from a friend and it was their finger pointing at this bag in Shape, and I was like, nuh-uh. And I was hating my job at the time. Like my boss, everyone's just terrible, terrible people who are so toxic. So I was like, guys, I'm taking an early lunch. So I ran out, went to Target, and I looked through Shape like frantically, like this. And I was like, ugh. I went to it 3 times, like, okay, I need to slow down. I cannot find the page. And right when I opened it and I saw it, literally, I swear to you, tears started rolling down my face. I melted down onto the floor. I really did, onto the linoleum floor, and I just sat there and cried for a little. I had a moment.
If this show's really going to be about the universal principles of success, I can tell you right now what principle number 1 is: follow your passion. Simple as.
Yep, 100%.
But trying to explain that to people and get them to not hear trite words, but to get them to understand the raw power of the brain chemistry of passion. No one gets a sweaty wad of cash and falls to their knees crying out of joy, right? Money is a motivator, there's no question, and I believe in wealth creation. I think it's very powerful, and I think the largest problems we face as a society will ultimately be solved by people with resources. So I have no problem with that. I'm just saying that if you're going to chase something, chase your passion, and then make money come out of that. One of the things I really want to talk about today, and I think so many people might be set on a different path if they can really hear the words that you'll say, that you rebelled intensely for a very long time until you finally broke the shackles. Because there was a great moment where you were saying, I was crying a lot because I didn't know how to make myself happy and my parents happy. But at that moment, most people, they're overwhelmed by guilt. You weren't. You were overwhelmed by moving towards what you found joy in.
I really did not know how to make my parents happy and myself happy, and I was like, this is gonna sound really bad, but I was like, either one of us needs to die or it's not going to work out. Like that's how intense to me it was. I was like, I just don't know. And it's very interesting because I just had a conversation with a blogger friend from another Asian family. She said that her brother was going through a very similar situation where he attempted suicide because of that pressure. And I know this happens. I mean, luckily I didn't get down to that, but there were thoughts. Like, it was a lot of pressure.
They may support you in other things, and like you said, they have good intentions, they want you to be financially secure, whatever, but they think that your entrepreneurial drive is crazy. And that's, Peter Diamandis has an awesome quote about that, and he says, the day before something is a breakthrough, it's a crazy idea. Knowing that there are people watching right now that are in the exact battle that you were in with your family right now, what have you learned? What can you teach them? What strategies do you have for them to use to navigate that?
even if everyone outside is telling you can't do this, it's not possible, you just have to stay solid, and you're gonna stay the course, and you learn by yourself how you're gonna do it, and you get it done. If it doesn't work out, maybe it wasn't the right idea, but you learned, and then you're gonna have a better idea next time, and you're resilient. So I really think it starts with having your confidence and not letting go of it. That's so important. You cannot lose hope.
Okay, so let's focus on that. How, because I'm gonna guess most people watching, they don't have their confidence and they have no idea how to get it back. How did you get it back?
I had to heal myself. I took myself out of that toxic environment by quitting. I was teaching Pilates 2 times a week. I started teaching 12 times a week to help pay for rent. And that process of having to survive made me a better instructor, which made my YouTube videos better. And it all sort of just fell into place. So it's that whole thing about following your passion and the money will come. Yeah, it sounds super vague, but it works. And you just gotta start with what you know and do more of what makes you happy. And I think that's the best way. And if you need to do, a side job, whatever, to, financially live, then that's fine. But you gotta stick with what makes you smile.
The most successful people I've ever met, one trait that they all have in common, certainly you're displaying it here, is the ability to self-soothe. The people that can take a knock, whether it's an emotional knock from a family, whether it's failure, whether it's horrific comments, which I can only imagine as somebody who makes their living on YouTube, you get, being able to sort of right the course, handle that emotion, and move forward.
I think resilience is super important because as an entrepreneur, you will fail, and you just have to expect it, and you have to keep moving on. And it's okay. It's a learning process. It's just life.
You have a really cool quote. Even when you don't have the experience, when you don't have the training, it can still work out just fine. How did you overcome inexperience?
I think when you don't know what the rules are, there are no rules, so you just figure it out yourself. I think it becomes easier. I never had formal training in design or anything like that, but it's kind of, if you think about it, you need materials, you need to put it together, and then you just market it. And I understand the marketing part. The other stuff, you figure out. But there's always Google. How I found my first manufacturer in the United States was on yellowpages.com.
Wow.
And I just literally picked up the phone, called them, asked if they did whatever, and if they, what their minimums were. And you just learn, and you learn vocabulary, and you just have to be fearless. And I think the fact that I didn't know how it was supposed to be helped me move farther and faster too. Because sometimes people who know too much, they can't get anything done. You know what I mean?
I do. There's an awesome story which these guys have heard me talk about many times. One of the most famous moments in all of mathematics was a student, and we'll link to this in the show notes so people know that I'm not making it up. He was late to his math class. The teacher wrote the homework on the board. He comes in, everybody's already gone. Oh man, writes down the homework assignments, takes them back, has 3 days or whatever to complete them. He's like, these are really hard. Like, I can't believe he expects us to have these done in 3 days. This is crazy. Ends up taking him a couple extra days. In shame, he turns in these 2 problems to the professor's desk, doesn't want to see him, just sets them on his desk and leaves. At like 2 in the morning or something crazy, the professor comes banging on his door, opens up, and he was like, how did you do this? Those were 2 examples of unsolvable problems, and you've solved them both. And he was like, if I had known it was impossible, I never would have been able to do it. But because I just thought it was homework, I just thought it was hard homework and that I was dumb.
Exactly.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
The
That's
naivete
a really cool
of the
story.
beginner. All right, I've got some quick questions for you. We'll go through them. Nice, short, just fun.
Cool.
What was your most valuable failure?
My most valuable failure definitely was when I thought I got the job of my dreams trying to be a buyer. Because of that terrible human experience, I now value what I do so much. Sometimes I meet other YouTubers who are younger and they've never had a real job, and one of them even told me, oh, I can't wait till one day, YouTube's over and I can have a real job. I'm like, oh my God, you don't even understand.
Reversal of fortune.
So because of that experience, even though it was terrible and I had no confidence at the end of it, I see everything so differently because of that experience. And I think it was good. It was bad, but it was good, yeah.
All right, what book influenced you the most?
Delivering Happiness by Tony
Hsieh. I know it well.
And I learned a lot about how to treat your customers and really just helping people with open arms. I think that was really important.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Tony, I owe you a debt of gratitude for that book. It's had a huge influence, clearly, on Cassey and her entire business, and certainly Quest as well. Okay, what skill are you trying to master right now?
Oh, that's so interesting that you asked me that. Do you ever box jump? I'm sure you do. You jump on the boxes, whatever, for hits. Okay, so my normal level is like about right here. I can like jump up like, comfortably.
Okay.
But there's this other box that's like right here. This was really embarrassing, but we were facing that box for 25 minutes.
Wow.
And I couldn't jump on the box because I was so scared of scraping my knee.
Sure.
And then this old guy came over and he was like, well, you know, you just gotta believe in yourself and you just jump on the box. And then I just held my breath and then I jumped on the box. But it took 25 minutes for one jump.
So wait, the old guy got you on the box?
Yeah. Yeah.
My man.
But he was watching the whole situation. It was so embarrassing.
That's beautiful. I love it.
No, you should have seen. I was like looking at the box, pacing, looking and be like, oh, I can't. I can't do this. Okay, 3, 2, I can't. So weird.
That's awesome.
And that's the fear of failure, but I also didn't want to bruise, so, you know, valid, you know.
Fair enough. That's funny. All right, what's the best advice you've ever received?
Oh, the best advice I ever received was from this alumni from Whittier College. He was an entrepreneur, and I remember we were having lunch, and he told me, you have to give yourself the 100% chance to succeed or else you never will. That meant quitting my job, giving myself room to breathe and heal and figure out what I needed to do. Better know that we're gonna fail hard right now than like kind of like go along and not really know and be all like wimpy-wompy about it, so yeah.
Yeah, fail soon, fail often, fail forward, right? Very, very strong advice. All right, for everybody at home keeping score, I think we've touched on a lot of useful information for anybody out there that's trying to build your mindset towards becoming an entrepreneur or just furthering your career if you already are an entrepreneur. The most fundamental to me, the thing that I was most excited to talk to Cassey about is definitely passion. And I think that's a big part of her success. And when you look at the companies that are really doing great things today, I think that's one thing that they always share. The other thing is grit, understanding that perseverance has been a key to your success. Knowing that whatever you want to do in life, you may not be good at it today, but that is not a reflection of who you can become. You can learn anything. And once you believe that, once you really believe that any skill is yours to acquire, any skill. And I don't care whether that's martial arts, you don't know how to fight, you want to learn how to fight. I don't care if it's advanced mathematics. You can learn it. Cassey, again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
You are an incredible human being, and I'm grateful for your time.
We both are.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, guys, we're here every week. Be sure to subscribe right here, and we'll be waiting for you when you get back. Till then, take care.